At 17, they kicked me out with nothing. My mom smirked. You'll be back. 10 years later, they're homeless. And I'm a millionaire. My name is Kayla. I'm 27 years old now, but this story starts when I was just 17. I still remember the cold wind that morning. I had packed my bag with shaking hands. Just one bag. That's all they let me take. A few clothes, my sketchbook, and a bottle of water. My mom stood by the door, arms crossed. Her lips were curled into a smile, but it wasn't a nice smile. You'll be back begging in a month, she said. You'll see. My dad didn't say a word. He just walked to the door, opened it, and pointed outside. I looked at both of them, hoping, begging, that they'd stop, that they'd say this was a joke, that they still loved me. But all I got was silence. Then the door slammed behind me. And just like that, I was no longer their daughter. I was just a girl on the street. What did I do wrong? I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't lie. I didn't steal. I didn't run with bad friends. All I did was dream. I wanted to be an artist, a fashion designer. I loved drawing clothes, big gowns, shining shoes, tiny details. I've been drawing since I was 5. But my parents had other plans. My mom wanted me to become a lawyer. It's what smart girls do, she always said. My dad just agreed with whatever she said. He never listened to me, not even once. So when I told them I wanted to apply to an art school in the city, everything exploded. Mom shouted, "You're throwing your life away." Dad said, "You want to draw silly dresses while the rest of us work for a living?" I tried to explain. I told them I could get a scholarship. I told them I'd work while I studied, but they didn't care. They only heard what they wanted to hear. "You're not living under this roof if you're going to shame this family," Mom snapped. And just like that, they kicked me out. The first night was the worst night of my life. I didn't know where to go. I sat at the bus stop until the sun went down. Then I walked and walked until my legs felt like jelly. Every time I heard a noise, I jumped. I was scared, so scared. I finally found an old wooden bench near a park. I curled up there, hugging my bag to my chest. I was cold, I was hungry, I was tired. I cried a lot. I whispered to myself, "Don't go back, don't go back. You're stronger than this." But deep inside, I was so close to giving up.
For days, I lived like that. I went to public bathrooms to wash my face. I sat in libraries during the day just to feel warm. Sometimes kind people gave me food. A woman gave me a muffin and smiled. A teenager handed me her spare scarf. Little things, but they meant everything to me. At night, I would take out my sketchbook and draw. I didn't have pencils, just one black pen. I drew dresses made of stars, gowns with wings, shoes with tiny stories hidden in the heels. Drawing made me feel alive again. One day, while I was sitting outside a coffee shop sketching, a man walked past and looked over my shoulder. "Did you draw that?" he asked. I nodded quickly, hugging my book. He smiled. "That's beautiful. You've got talent." He handed me a $5 bill and said, "Keep drawing. Don't stop." That moment lit something in my heart. A little fire. Hope. I used the $5 to buy bread and water. I ate like it was a feast. That night, I whispered to the stars, "Thank you for not letting me give up." A week later, I saw a flyer outside a hotel. They were hiring cleaners. I walked in, holding my bag tightly. My heart was beating like a drum. "I'll work hard," I told the manager, please just give me a chance?" He looked at my face, then down at my shoes. Then he nodded. "Start tomorrow, 6 a.m. sharp." I almost cried. I bowed and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you so much." That job saved me. I cleaned toilets, mopped floors, picked up trash. It wasn't easy. Some guests were rude. Some left big messes. But I had a roof over my head now. I could eat. I could sleep in a shared staff room. I finally felt human again. And even though I was tired, I never stopped drawing. During breaks, I'd sit in the tiny locker room with my sketchbook. I'd draw quick designs, imagining colors, shapes, and magic. I didn't know what was waiting for me out there, but I promised myself this. One day, they'll regret throwing me away, and I'll become everything they said I couldn't be. The hotel job was hard, but I was thankful. I had a place to sleep now. A staff room with a bunk bed and 4 other girls. The mattress was thin, but it was better than a bench in the park. I finally had a key to a door. That felt like gold. Every day at 6 a.m., I tied my hair up, put on the brown hotel uniform, and started scrubbing. Bathrooms, hallways, trash cans. Some days, my back hurt so bad I could barely stand. Other days, I cleaned the same toilet twice because a guest made a mess again. But I never complained because after work, when I got my little break, I had something to look forward to. My sketchbook. I would sit in the locker room and pull it out carefully, like it was made of glass. It had smudges and tears from being stuffed in my bag, but it was still my treasure. I drew dresses made of glass petals, jackets shaped like waves, shoes that looked like thunder. When I drew, I forgot I was tired. I forgot I was poor. I remembered who I was, who I wanted to be. One afternoon, something happened that changed my life forever. I was sitting in the back alley behind the hotel. It was my lunch break. I had half a sandwich and a bottle of warm water. As I ate, I took out my sketchbook. I was working on a design, a purple dress that flowed like water. A woman walked by. She was tall, wore a long white coat, and had gold rings on every finger. I didn't notice her until she stopped in front of me. "Excuse me," she said. "Is that yours?" I looked up, heart racing. I pulled the book close to my chest. "Yes," I said softly. She knelt down beside me. "I'm sorry to bother you. I saw that sketch from over there. You have talent, real talent." My cheeks went red. No one ever said that before, not even my parents. "What's your name?" she asked. "Kayla," I whispered. She smiled. "I'm Elena. I'm a tourist here, but back home, I work in fashion." My heart stopped. "Fashion?" I asked. She nodded. "I work with young designers, people just like you." I didn't know what to say. My hands were shaking. "Would you mind if I took a photo of that sketch?" she asked gently. "I'd like to show it to a friend of mine. No promises, but who knows?" I nodded slowly. "Okay." She snapped the photo,
thanked me again, and walked away. I didn't think much would come of it. I went back to cleaning the next day like nothing happened. But something had happened.
2 weeks later, the hotel manager called me into his office. I was scared. I thought I had done something wrong. But when I walked in, there was a man in a black suit sitting there with a folder. "Kayla," he asked, standing up. "I'm from Studio E. My name's Marcus. Elena sent us your drawings." I blinked. You came here for me?" I asked, confused. He smiled. "Yes, we're starting a mentorship program for young artists. You've been chosen. You'll come work with us, train with us, learn, all expenses paid." I almost fainted. "But I'm just a cleaner," I said. He looked at me kindly. "Not anymore." That day, I packed my bag, the same bag I had the night I was kicked out. But this time, it felt different. This time, I wasn't leaving with nothing. I was leaving with hope. Studio E became my new home. It was bright, full of colors and music and people who wore the wildest clothes I'd ever seen. They gave me sketchbooks, fabrics, paints, real tools. For the first time, I sat at a real table and designed clothes with my own name on the paper. It felt like magic. Of course, it wasn't easy. There were long nights, many tears. I made mistakes. I ripped dresses, sewed sleeves on backward, burnt holes in fabric. But no one yelled at me. They helped me, guided me. "You're learning," Elena would say. "Keep going, Kayla. You have something special." After 6 months, we had a student show. Each designer could send out one outfit on a real runway. Mine was a red velvet dress with silver stars stitched along the bottom. I named it Starlight. The model walked out. The lights hit the dress. The crowd clapped. I stood backstage, my hands over my mouth. I was crying. Not sad tears, victory tears. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't call them. I didn't want to. I was becoming me without them. After that show, things moved fast. An online fashion blog wrote about my dress. Then a magazine called. Then a famous singer asked to wear it at an event. I watched on TV as she stepped out of a limo in my dress. My name was tagged on the screen. Design by Kayla Starr. Yes, I had changed my name. No more Kayla the disappointment. No more Kayla the failure. Now, I was Kayla Starr, the girl who used to sleep on benches and now made stars shine.
And then one morning, as I was sipping tea in my new apartment, my assistant ran in. Her face was pale. "Kayla," she said, holding up my phone, "your parents, they're calling." When my assistant showed me the phone, I froze. "Your parents, they're calling," she whispered. I stared at the screen. 10 missed calls. 1 voicemail, then another, then 10 more. My chest felt tight. My hands started to shake. I hadn't heard from them in 10 years. Not once. Not on my birthday, not on Christmas, not even when my name started popping up online. Suddenly, now, they wanted to talk. "Do you want me to block the number?" my assistant asked softly. "No," I whispered. "Not yet." That night, I sat on the edge of my bed and listened. The first voicemail was my mother. "Kayla, it's Mom. Please call us back. It's urgent." The next was my dad.
his voice low and scratchy. "Kayla, I know we messed up, but your mother's sick. We need your help." Another one played, my mom again. "We lost the house. We don't know where to go. Your father's heart is acting up. Please, please, Kayla." And for a moment, I felt something. A flicker of pain, a small voice in my heart that whispered, "They're still your parents." But then, I remembered the night they kicked me out. The smirk on my mother's face. The way my father slammed the door without a word. The way I cried on that cold bench, alone, hungry, scared. That flicker turned to ash. I turned off the phone, but sleep wouldn't come. So I got up, pulled open a drawer, and found my old sketchbook, the one I had with me when I was 17. The pages were crumpled and stained, but my drawings were still there. Dress after dress, dream after dream, each one drawn during the hardest days of my life. I smiled. I didn't need them. I never needed them. The next morning, I had a meeting with a celebrity stylist. She wanted me to design 3 gowns for the biggest award show of the year. I showed her my sketches. She gasped, "These are perfect! Kayla, you're brilliant!" That word still felt strange to hear. Brilliant. For so long, I was called useless, disobedient, a failure. Now I was being called brilliant. I smiled and nodded. "Thank you."
More magazines started calling. More orders came in. One of my gowns was on the cover of Viva Vogue. Another one was worn by a princess at a royal dinner. People started saying my name like it was gold. Kayla Starr. TV interviews, photo shoots, red carpets. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was shining. One day, my driver took a wrong turn and we ended up near my old neighborhood. I looked out the window. The houses looked smaller now. The trees looked sad. My old house, my parents' house, had weeds growing around the porch. It looked empty, abandoned, like something from a ghost story. Part of me wanted to get out, knock on the door, see if they were still there. But the car kept moving. I didn't say a word. Later that week, my assistant came running in again. "Kayla," she said, out of breath, "it's bad. Someone posted a video online." My stomach dropped. She turned the screen toward me. It was my mother, sitting in a parking lot, crying in front of a camera. "My daughter is rich now. She's a big star, but she forgot us. We're her family, and she left us to suffer." The video went viral. People started commenting, "Why is Kayla Starr ignoring her parents? She wouldn't be here if not for them. Even if they made mistakes, they're still her mom and dad." I sat there, silent. And then I laughed so hard tears came down my cheeks. "They're still my mom and dad?" I whispered. "No, my real parents died the day they threw me out." That night, I decided to write a letter, but not to them. I wrote to the world. On my official page, I shared a post. I told my story, the truth. How I was kicked out at 17, how I slept on benches, how I built everything from scratch,
how they never once called or cared until they needed something. I ended the post with this line: "You don't get to throw someone away and expect them to save you later." The post exploded. People flooded me with love. Young girls messaged me. Homeless teens wrote to me. They said I gave them hope, that my story gave them strength. I cried again, but this time it wasn't pain. It was pride. Because I wasn't just a designer now. I was a voice. And right before bed, I did one last thing. I picked up my phone, typed in their number, paused, then I pressed block. The next day, I walked into the studio early. It was quiet. The sewing machines were still. The fabrics were resting. It felt peaceful. I opened my sketchbook and began drawing again. But this time, it wasn't a dress. It was a little girl. She looked like me, sitting on a bench with a sketchbook in her lap and stars all around her. A reminder of who I was and how far I'd come. That afternoon, I sat with my assistant and made a decision. "I want to give back," I told her. "To who?" she asked. "To the kids like me, the ones who get kicked out, the ones who sleep on benches, the ones who think no one cares." She nodded. "What do you have in mind?" I smiled. 2 weeks later, I stood in front of a tall building with glass doors and a gold sign that read, "The Kayla Starr Foundation for Displaced Teens." We opened 5 homes across the city. Each one had beds, hot food, school supplies, and counselors, and a room filled with sketchbooks, markers, paints, and fabrics. A place to dream, a place to start again, just like I did. Then I did one last thing. I sent a letter, not to my parents, but to the local paper in the neighborhood where I grew up. It was short. To the girl who was kicked out at 17. I made it. And I didn't come back. But I never forgot. This is for every kid like me. Love, Kayla Starr. A week later, the foundation received a donation from a retired teacher. Then a retired nurse. Then more people started helping. Because people saw the truth. I wasn't bitter. I was building something better. Then one morning, my assistant ran in again. She looked confused. "You're not going to believe this," she said. "Your parents showed up." I looked up. "Where?" "At the foundation. They're outside. Right now." My heart didn't race. I didn't panic. I just stood, walked to the window, and looked down. There they were. My mother looked thinner now, tired. Her clothes were wrinkled. My father leaned on a cane. His shoulders were hunched. They looked nothing like the people who threw me out. They looked like strangers. They were holding a sign. "Please forgive us, Kayla." I stood there quietly. I didn't go down. I didn't wave. I didn't open the door. I just whispered, "Too late." That night, I sat by my window, holding a cup of tea. I watched the stars above. They looked just like the ones I used to draw when I was 17, back when I had nothing. Now, I had everything. But most of all, I had peace. People always ask me, "Don't you regret it, not making peace with your parents?" I always smile and say,
They made peace with the door the night they closed it in my face. You see, some people only want you when they need you. Some only see your value after they've thrown you away. But the truth is, you don't need people who only believe in you after you've succeeded. You need people who see your light when you're still in the dark. So if you're like me, if you've been pushed out, told you weren't good enough, left alone in the cold, I want you to remember this. You are not garbage. You are not a mistake. You are not too much or not enough. You are becoming something beautiful, even if no one claps for you yet. My name is Kayla Starr. I was kicked out at 17, but I built an empire with a sketchbook and a promise.